Now, this is an R-rated movie coming out in 1988, an action-adventure thriller movie around 1 hour and 43 minutes long. The story of this being Rambo mounts a one-man mission, yet again of course, to save Troutman this time from invading forces in Afghanistan. Jump straight into the good points. Now, the good points about this movie is the production value has massively jumped straight up there within 3 years since the last movie, of course, but the cinematography has been much more risk-taking and creative on the screen. And not only that, the pacing again is super fast, but compared to the other movies, they normally obviously jump straight into it, but this one had a little bit of a slow build-up, which I actually thought was quite creative the way they did it. It built up the story quite slow, and once he got straight into there, obviously trying to save Troutman, everything just went super fast, and it was like there was just no stopping it. It was actually quite enjoyable. No new level of action superhero. I thought Rambo First Blood Part 2 would be bad, but this just took it up to a whole new level when it comes to action superhero stuff. Even though is the biggest he's looked, of course, longest hair as well. He just suits the character a bit more in the way he looks, of course, and presents himself. And I just love the fact that they absolutely went full ridiculous in this movie. Whereas obviously in Part 2, they were sort of trying to be realistic and serious, as well as being silly. Whereas this one, they just went straight full ridiculous. Rather than doing a half job, I just absolutely think it's more entertaining and just feels a lot better. The thing I actually enjoyed in this movie is Rambo actually felt quite mortal in this movie. Things were happening to him, he was getting hurt and stuff. He's not invincible, and that's something I did like about this movie. He's still a badass, of course. You know he was going to win and he was going to save the day, but the possibility of getting hurt felt a little bit more higher in percentage, which was actually quite enjoyable. I felt was just as basic as the second movie. I felt it was a little bit more interesting though, due to the fact that they used Troutman a little bit more in this movie as a character who Rambo cares about. That emotion side was a little bit more used in the second movie, in my opinion. Action-packed stuff, of course, in this movie looked amazing, especially with that upgrade in terms of the production. I really did enjoy the action more in this movie, and I felt this movie, out of everyone so far, has the biggest action sequences so far. Stallone back as Rambo again. I really preferred him in this movie compared to the second movie, which I thought he was still quite good in. I thought his performance in this one was a lot more better. With what he got given in this movie, I think he delivered the lines well. I think he was that badass. And not only that, the shape that he got himself into, he really fitted the character really that much more. I felt he was actually quite intimidating. I felt it was just the Rambo that we actually needed. Brenner back as Troutman, of course, more involved in this storyline. I really did enjoy him. This is finally the character I wanted to see, a more involved character which really cares about Rambo, and Rambo likewise back, and they've just got a great bond, great chemistry, and when they're on the scene together, they either got great humour, or they've got a great bond, a bit of emotional sequence going on, which really makes the movie much more. And I love the fact that he even got involved in the action sequences as well. He's actually shooting things and blowing things up and everything. Getting involved, I really did enjoy that. Smith as Griggs. Now, a little bit of me really wanted a little bit more, but really for a role that he had to play, I think he done really good in this movie. He's an actor which really goes unnoticed sometimes. A lot of people know him from That 70s Show, and I really did think he suited the character quite well, especially when he comes back to deliver the news of Troutman obviously being captured. We really get a nice little segment between him and Rambo, and he just really just goes to show how great of a performer he is. My favourite scene in this movie, of course, is the tank versus the helicopter. I think it's pure badass. The bad points. Now, the bad points about this movie is the script. The script was really, really bad. I didn't think it suited anyone in this movie. Even the best actors and characters in this movie. Rambo, the main star of the movie, giving a great performance but delivering one-liners for catchphrases. It felt like they was just trying to get them in there for entertainment, cheesy values, or even just for the trailer. In the movie, they used quite a bit of humour. I just didn't think it landed well. Even between Troutman and Rambo, normally I like their chemistry, but some of the humour just didn't land for me. The thing they've done throughout this franchise is use different, obviously, locations and backgrounds. Obviously, the first one being in the city, second one being in the forest. Now, this one, they're going into the desert. But with the desert, it just felt sort of quiet, it felt abandoned, it felt like nothing was going on in the background, which sort of tends to make you feel a little bit more bored in a way. There's nothing going on until the action really kicks in. It just feels, I don't think they actually do anything memorable in this movie, whereas the second one, I do remember some of the things that the villains did. Some of the sound in this movie was quite poor. Even though obviously the production level went up, the sound effects that they use, especially in that scene where Rambo's fighting in the beginning with the sticks, some of it was just really off. They used too many sound effects in that scene. It was quite irritating. The main problem with this movie for me, I think, is the issues where they just sort of copied First Blood Part 2 in a way where the story's quite similar. In a way, the character Rambo, again, doesn't really change much apart from his, obviously, his look, his size, and the action, of course. But what this movie does is crank up the action and, again, loses value in its story and characters. It's rating time. Let's have a look what the critics had to rate this movie. IMDb given it a 5.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes given it a 41%. And Metacritic given it a 36. My rating for this movie is a 7 out of 10. That makes this a good movie. Guys, this movie is just as good as First Blood Part 2 in my opinion. Maybe a little bit, slightly an inch better in preference. But really, it's a fun, action-packed movie, just like Part 2. And it's Stallone looking absolute beast. The best is he's looked, of course. Killing enemies in every way you can think possible. Guys, a 7 out of 10 for Rambo 3, of course. Don't forget to let me know your ratings and thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie. As well as, guys, smash that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. It helps the video out, helps me out, as well as helps the channel out, which I'm super, super grateful for. As well as, guys, if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that bell for much, much more awesome movies and TV series content. We're on the journey to Rambo Last Blood. I'm doing this journey. I've already reviewed First Blood and First Blood Part 2. You can go ahead and check them out on the playlist, which I'll leave an annotation at the end of the video for you guys to click on. As well as we've still not finished the journey yet. We've still got Rambo 4 to review on the channel, which will be coming up very shortly on the channel, so stay tuned for that. As well as Rambo Last Blood I'm going to review, and then rank all the movies from the worst to the best. So thanks very much, guys, for watching. I've been me, you've been you, and I'll see you next time, guys, on Talking with Jay Springett.